I want to bring in our panel standing by. Leslie Marshall, syndicated talk radio host and a Fox News contributor. Morgan Ortegas is national co-chair of the Maverick PAC and former financial intelligence analyst for the Treasury Department. And Morgan, you've been along for the ride with us, going back months now.
Good ride.
Ladies,
yeah.
well, good morning to both of you. Ken Blackwell is an African-American from Ohio, and he was tapped back in 2004 to help with the transitional process for President Bush. And Donald Trump has tapped him as well to manage a lot of these matters. He said the following, Morgan, listen closely on this, okay? How do you bridge or integrate traditional constitutional conservatism with the stream of economic national populism that Trump has tapped into? He finished, this is going to be the most fundamental realignment of the base that has taken place since 1980. Ronald Reagan. How do you interpret that? How do you define that, Morgan? What is the change?
I think that this is without a doubt, Bill, Donald Trump's Republican Party. He won overwhelmingly on Tuesday night, and we also saw a complete repudiation of the policies, the divisive policies of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. I think she got almost 7 million less votes than Barack Obama. So this is now, he is now the head of the party. He's been the head of the party as the nominee, but as president, he gets to guide the party. I think that you're going to see in the first 100 days a unified White House and Senate and Congress and the House of Representatives. The American people have given the GOP a historic gift, and I think it's incumbent upon us not to blow it, to be frank.
Yeah.
Over the past 6 years, we've had this circular firing squad trying to knock each other off, and we cannot do that. We have, you know, this is
Morgan,
really a generational possibility.
Do you agree that this is a fundamental realignment of the Republican Party?
I think that we'll have to see what policies Donald Trump pursues, but I think what the American people voted for, Bill, was to stop the gridlock in Washington. I think that they gave the GOP power in 3 houses, which is the full Monty, by the way. This is what both parties dream of, to have the power in the 3 houses. I think they gave it to the GOP because they said, we're sick of the partisanship, we're sick of the gridlock, and we want to get something done.
Now, to that point then, yeah. Leslie, you think about the gears of government and how they've grown with so much rust, right? I mean, you have a government that's been calcified by this. It's not working. The American people see that. They take note of that. Yesterday, when we were doing our coverage on the fallout, I remarked that I can't remember the last time the president had lunch with members of Congress. When the last time he went to Capitol Hill for something other than the State of the Union address. And when you understand the reality of that disconnect, of that paralysis, you want to see some change, and you don't want that to continue. And perhaps that was a lot of that voice we heard on Tuesday. What do you think about that?
Well, Bill, I don't know. See, here's part of the problem. You know, I heard this drain the swamp, and I certainly saw that America, at least around half of America, wants somebody who was an outsider. But the problem is all the names that I'm hearing, like Newt Gingrich, Donald Trump put forth for potential cabinet members, are Washington insiders. A lot of what we're hearing about the future of the Republican Party is, in a sense, going back to the way the Republican Party used to be. Very different than what Trump campaigned on.
Right, that's not the argument I'm making here. I'm not talking about people and individuals and personnel. I'm talking about the function of Washington, D.C. as a government to move forward.
But the function comes from, and the dysfunction over the years, both left and right, the anger among voters has been that these parties can't work together, and that those in power in the House and the Senate were not getting anything done left and right. And what did we see? Even though we saw something historic with regard to the presidency bill, we still saw a majority of incumbents, both left and right, re-elected. So, in other words, the American people said, we want change, but they really didn't change a lot of the players they were unhappy with in both the House and the Senate, whether Democrat or Republican.
Morgan, what about the gears of government working on behalf of the American people? And how does that fit into the theme and the fallout from this week?
Well, I think the people who voted for Trump and the majority of Americans are saying that the gears of the government aren't working. And I think that's why they have been willing to take a gamble on a businessman, because they're saying, you know what? Trump is an unknown, but we're willing to take that over what we know Hillary Clinton will produce, which is more of the same. I worked in government for a long time, Bill, and I can tell you, I described moving from New York City to Washington, D.C. and working in the government to running into the wall full speed. I mean, it was shocking at the way in which people and the pace move, because there's no accountability in government. There's no bottom line. There's no, Congress just lets them spend however they want. So this is why people voted for change.
Okay. Ladies, thank you very much. Leslie Marshall in L.A. and Morgan Ortegas here in New York. Thank you to both. We've got